Hello there. My name is Luther McGinnis, and I would like to talk to you about relocating to the Netherlands. I moved here 4 months ago. It is now December 15th in 2024. I moved here the 20th of July, and I moved here under the DAFT visa, the DAFT entrepreneurial visa. And so it requires an investment of 4,500 euro and a great business idea that you can implement in the Netherlands that'll be for the greater good of the country. As long as you can prove that you have assets and the startup funds, and you have to open up a bank account, a local Dutch bank account. And it does come with a 2-year residency as well, legal residency. So that's how I moved here. And I pretty much just saved a year and a half from like February of 23 to all the way to like July of 24. And I did it because I wanted to move to the UK initially, but then I was talked out of it when I discovered how hard the immigration process was. And I wanted to move to the UK for my music, but it seemed like the Netherlands was the much better choice in terms of an actual legal residency status. Because with the UK, the choices for immigrating successfully are very narrow. If you don't have a highly skilled immigrant type situation or a visa, or a spousal visa, or a educational student visa. So neither of those apply to me. So the next natural choice would be Netherlands, which is close by. So that's how I kind of stumbled upon the DAF visa and learned more about it. I wanted to move here so I could be close to the UK. Being that I can't be in the UK, at least I can commute back and forth. So that's what got me on the track of moving to the Netherlands. So just to tell you a little bit about the Netherlands, it's very close to the UK. It's just across the North Sea. But it is a different culture. It is a very peaceful culture. It's very harmonious here. Great place to raise kids. Not that I have children, but it's a great place to raise kids. And just to let you know, basically, you have some nuances here that are different than the United States that you have to pay attention to, such as getting a bank account, for example. That took like 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, because everything is done by post or mail. And then they send you your PIN number and all these things that you need for the bank account by mail also. Your PIN code, your passcode, your user ID is all by mail. And so you can't set up anything until you get all of those deliverables in the mail. And so once that was done, I was able to set up my bank account, and I was able to go to the Chamber of Commerce and register my business and deposit my 4,500 euro investment into my account. It took me roughly about 6 weeks from the time I applied for the DAF to get approved. I applied 29th of August, and then I got approved October the 3rd. So actually 5 weeks. So it's really been a pleasure being here for the most part. There are some cultural differences or some culture shocks. The Dutch are very direct. They're very time efficient. You can't be late for anything. And what's the other thing? The housing shortage. So my situation is very unique. So I came here on like a summer, almost really a summer volunteer program for 4 weeks to teach English. It was a paid position, but it was a very low stipend. So I came here in July 20th. I did a 4-week summer teaching program. I finished that program. And then when I went back to the States, I was still moving to the Netherlands, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do about housing or anything else, because it is very difficult to find housing. And housing is a must. You have to register your housing. Otherwise, you cannot even finish your DAF visa. And you only get 3 months to really finish it, as you only get 90 days in the country and you have to leave. 90 days in the country on your tourist visa. So your window of getting the DAF approved is very small. You know, a lot of people come and they don't get their DAF approved within that first 90 days and they have to leave. So what happened was, when I was back in the States and moving out of my apartment in Tacoma area or whatever, in Washington, I was visiting my mom in Nashville, flew to Nashville, and then I got an email stating that they wanted to, pretty much hire me on as a full-time administrator as well as a teacher. So it's a more long-term role. And so I'm actually working as a Zezit payer, which is basically means that under the table, because I have a DAFT, which means that you cannot work a taxable job. And so I'm working as a school administrator and a teacher as a Zezit payer. So it's not in conflict with my entrepreneurial visa. They also help me with my housing registration because they do offer housing here. They helped me with my housing registration and things just flowed. That's how you know a place is for you. It just flowed. But had I not received this opportunity to teach, I probably would have had to leave. It's the housing market is way too competitive, especially for people who don't have any taxable Dutch income, which I didn't at the time. Then also you have to consider that you are competing with the Dutch market. It's almost like you're competing with like a house, like a bidding war for a house, but it's rentals. And you having to hire most likely a makelar, which is a real estate agent, to help you find a place to stay, because you're competing against locals who have Dutch taxable income, who have a paper trail within the Dutch system. And Dutch credit, you're coming in with none of that. So most people, if they don't hire makelar, at the very least, they have to pay for a whole year rent to be competitive they have to be able to be willing to offer that, to be competitive with the other Dutch applicants. So I didn't have a year's worth of rent saved up. Nowhere near that. I had enough to cover my DAF and I had enough savings or cushion to kind of just get by, but I didn't have a whole year's worth of rent saved up. It's like, a lot of money, and the rent here is not cheap. So it's kind of like the expression here in the Netherlands is that basically your house chooses you. You don't choose your house. That's indicative of how tight the housing market is here. I mean, it's really, really tight. And so my situation, I lucked up. My situation is not typical. It's very unique. So the organization I came in and did a low-paying teaching stint for in the summer was the same place that helped me with my DAFT visa, the same place that helped me with my housing. And I was able to get my housing and go ahead and register with their help, and which fast forwarded my DAFT visa. Within 5 weeks, I was approved with a legal residency, with my own legal residency and the ID and everything, the picture ID and everything. So it just worked out for me, but that's not the typical experience here. People coming here, that's not the typical experience. They usually have to spend many months trying to find a place, at least 3 to 4 months, and then a lot of times they're having to hire a real estate agent or a makelar to help find their home, their rental. So it's been an experience. It's been an experience, but I've don't have a lot to complain about. I've had a really easy time in comparison. The other challenge here also is healthcare. The healthcare is excellent here, but it's required that you have health insurance that's paid. It's for profit. You have to pay for it. It's not universal healthcare. You have to pay for it, and it's a requirement of your residency visa. And so you have to get that within the first 4 months of you being approved. Or the first 4 months of your application. So for me, I submitted my application August 29th. Even though I was here July 20th, I submitted it August 29th, and they're going by that date. So I knew I had to get it in by the end of the year. And so when I was trying to look for insurance, it was a little bit of a struggle. A lot of the things are in Dutch. You have to transfer it. You have to translate it to English when you're on the sites. And so I was able to, with the referral, I was able to get insurance through a friend's insurance. That was not so bad. That was the easy part. But then the GP thing. And so the GP thing, your general practitioner, my thing is I'm on meds. I have a condition. I have medication I have to take. And so they can only be prescribed through a GP or a doctor, and so what I had to do is I had to actually end up going to get a stopgap a stopgap, kind of like your stopgap options. If you don't have a GP, they have to have like a workaround for those important scripts, those important prescriptions. And so I had to go to the tourist doctor. It's called a tourist doctor. And it's not far from Central. It's near Roken, not far from Central Station. Central Station also has their own pharmacy. But I had to go to this place called the Tourist Doctor, which is not far from the, Center City. And so they was able to write me a script. I didn't have to pay for anything because I already had my insurance in place. And everything is by, also, the other thing also, everything in Netherlands is very computerized. They want you to do everything by computer. And so your health insurance, your Dutch social security number, your BSN, I had to get all of that. It's kept up and kept tracked by an app called DigiID. So my BSN's in there, my health insurance is in there. When you apply for your health insurance, that ties it to your DigiID. When I presented to the tourist doctor and I showed them my insurance, they could already see, that I already have insurance, my BSN number, all that stuff was there because it's all tied together, for security reasons. And so I had no problem getting my medication. I got a 90-day script. And then not long after that, like a week later, a week and a half, I finally got a call for a GP. But it took 2.5 weeks. I've heard people have taken 11 months to find a GP because there's a doctor shortage here, like a housing shortage. So that was pretty scary, but they do have stopgaps. What are some other things about moving to the Netherlands? It's just very different from the United States in a good way. But then there's some few things that can be considered inconvenient. They have their rules, they have their ways of doing things. They're not going to change it for you. You have to just suck it up and adapt, as with any country. I'm running out of things to say, but yeah, I'm just trying to run it through my mind things that could be helpful for you guys. But basically, you can send me a DM or write in the comments, any questions. But basically that's kind of just like a summary of everything. The housing is an issue. The GP thing is an issue. And the GP thing also, it goes by your zip code or your postcode. So you cannot see a GP that's outside of your postcode. And that is because they still make house calls here. So, even that's different than the States. Everything is kept everything on you, your BSN, which is your social security number, your health record, your health insurance, all of that is on your DigiID. That's how the government keeps track of you. And that's how the government knows that you've applied for health insurance, because all of that is stored under DigiID, that app. So everything you do is tracked here online electronically. So the government can know what you're doing as well as for your security. So it's a very efficiently run society, unlike the States. But then they take efficiency to another level. It's kind of bureaucratic, but it takes some getting used to. But overall, this has been a very, very good move, and I couldn't be happier. I had one job to do this year, and that was to get out of the United States and move to the Netherlands successfully, and I've done that. And I'm just so happy, for the most part. Socially, the Dutch are very reserved, they're very cold, they're very direct. That leaves some things to be desired. But again, for 4 months, I haven't been here long. So for 4 months, I think I'm doing pretty well. I have a few friends here. I'm doing pretty well. But yeah, stay tuned. If you have any questions, leave in the comments or send me a DM. Bye-bye for now.